Hello there. On tonight's programme.
For over 31 years on our own, my children and I, missing him very much every day.
A Hampshire woman whose husband was killed in an RAF helicopter crash joins other families in a special film calling for a public inquiry.
Counting the cost of Dine and Dashers, the Port Solent restaurant owner left thousands out of pocket.
A special night and a stunning comeback sees the Saints marching on towards a playoff place.
And will there be a comeback from the sunshine? Join me later for the weather where you are.
Good evening. A widow whose husband died in an RAF Chinook crash nearly 32 years ago says families are still being denied the truth.
In June 1994, 29 people died when the aircraft crashed on the Mull of Kintyre in Scotland.
Susan Angus, who lives near Winchester, features in a new video as families step up their demands for answers from the Ministry of Defence. Here's Kieran Fitzpatrick.
He had beans on toast at his last meal. Always one of my greatest regrets, that I didn't get up and make him a proper lunch.
Sue Angus lost her husband, Major Gary Sparks, more than 30 years ago when the RAF Chinook he was a passenger in crashed on the Mull of Kintyre.
For over 31 years on our own, my children and I, missing him very much every day.
In a powerful film released ahead of Valentine's Day, the widows and children of the 29 who died described the enduring pain caused by decades of unanswered questions. The pilots of the aircraft based at RAF Odium in Hampshire were originally blamed, but that verdict was eventually overturned. Sue says she wants the public to understand the injustice she believes her family and others have faced.
He was only 33 when he was killed. He was young. He was one of the youngest passengers on it. We had our whole lives ahead of us. We had 3 young children. We were married less than 10 years. I just feel very sad. I feel it's just all such a waste of their lives and a waste of how all our lives turned out. Every time Valentine's Day comes around, you do remember the things that you did. And I think it's a good time to just have a little bit of publicity.
Campaigners are now calling for a new independent judge-led review after learning files relating to the crash have been sealed for 100 years. Sue says she cannot understand why they need to be kept secret and wants full accountability.
Why those papers, why they've been locked away, what are they hiding? And we want access to those just to see exactly what happened. To know why they were all put on that helicopter that day. The day before, it had been declared unfit for purpose and unairworthy. So who ordered that helicopter to fly? Who ordered the pilots to fly it? And who ordered all those 29 people to get on, passengers to get onto that aircraft, when there were 2 other aircraft sitting by that could have taken them in 2 separate aircrafts?
The Ministry of Defence told us the crash was a tragic accident and their thoughts and sympathies remain with the families, friends and colleagues of all those who died. It said they understand the lack of certainty about the cause of the crash has added to the distress, and it has already been the subject of 6 inquiries and investigations, including an independent judge-led review. But for Sue, her hope now rests on a judicial review being pursued by the family's legal team and the possibility that answers long denied may finally come to light. Kieran Fitzpatrick, ITV News.
A man has appeared in court charged with the murder of a 1-year-old girl on the Isle of Wight. Jailer Jean McLaren was taken to hospital last August, where she died. At Southampton Magistrates Court today, Adrian David Lawton, who's 31 and from Newport, spoke only to confirm his name and date of birth. He was remanded in custody to appear at Portsmouth Crown Court tomorrow.
A woman from Sussex left penniless and sleeping in her car after being scammed by a romance fraudster has spoken about the toll it's taken on her. Tamsin, which isn't her real name, says she paid out more than £50,000 during their time together. And during their relationship, she says he constantly lied to her and even claimed he had terminal cancer. She was supported by Victim Support Sussex, which has seen a 5.5% increase in romance fraud referrals from Sussex Police in the past year.
I have good days and bad days. My sleep is horrible. I go to sleep worrying about money and I wake up worrying about money. I've got debts. How can I ever pay any of it back? I've had to ask for help from food banks.
The sudden withdrawal of X-rays and other diagnostic services from a community health centre in Havant has been raised in Parliament. The private company that provided the services at the Oak Park Community Clinic stopped doing so before Christmas. NHS Hampshire and Isle of Wight told us they hadn't agreed to the service stopping and are working with other providers to try and achieve a solution. The local MP says it's forcing his constituents to travel to Portsmouth for appointments.
The loss of diagnostics is a huge concern for my constituents in Havant, Langston, Bedhampton, Emsworth, Hayling Island, Lee Park, Purbrook, Stakes and Widley. The withdrawal of diagnostic services at Oak Park took place suddenly, immediately before Christmas, and came with no warning. In fact, there was no consultation with patients, local GPs, community groups or care providers. The local reaction to this removal has been both outrage and fear.
An ambitious community project marking 100 years since Portsmouth was granted city status has been awarded a significant grant. Portsmouth Museum and Art Gallery has been given £249,000. The money from the National Lottery Heritage Fund will go towards transforming the venue's gallery spaces.
The Hampshire and Isle of Wight Air Ambulance Service has been awarded the highest overall rating possible by the Care Quality Commission. The unit, run by the service's own charity and University Hospital Southampton, has been rated as outstanding. The inspector said the service was exceptional at making sure people were at the centre of their care and treatment choices. The Air Ambulance Service was launched back in 2007. It's responded to 22,000 emergencies in that time. Some ward names at Royal Bournemouth Hospital are changing from next month. The new names are designed to make it easier for patients and visitors to find their way around. You're watching ITV News Meridian here in the south. Coming up, Sarah's here with the sport and Pip is here with all the important weather details. Plenty more from us, of course, online. All the details you need to stay in touch are on the screen. Our website address, same as usual, itv.com/Meridian. If you have a story you think we ought to be covering, our number is 0808 1010 095 and you can follow us on social media. A restaurateur in Hampshire says he has lost thousands of pounds to Dine and Dashers, people who don't pay for the food and drinks that they've ordered. Relentless near Portsmouth has been targeted dozens of times since the pandemic, with the most recent case costing the restaurant almost £200. With more, here's Harry Acton.
The moment a diner walks out, leaving an unpaid bill behind. He was one of two customers who ordered £170 worth of food and drink during a lunchtime meal. Neither one of them paid. It's left Relentless Steak and Lobster House in Port Solent counting the cost of Dine and Dashers. Over the years, they've lost thousands of pounds to people not paying their bill, hitting the independent business hard.
And they've ate their main courses and then they said, oh, it's lovely and we want some more food. So they started to order oysters, 3 oysters, then 6 oysters, then another 3 oysters, 2 rounds of scallops, and then another lot of oysters, and go on for it, as well as having like double shot and spirits behind the bar with the mixers.
They do have a prepayment system in place to try and tackle this behaviour. The diners did pay for their first course, but everything ordered after it was put on a tab.
They've gone outside and said, oh, we have 1 more scallops. So she's gone, yeah, no problem, walked over to the kitchen, just let Jack know, the chef, that we need 1 more scallops, and then go and put it through the till. While that's happened, she's walked over to the pass just to say, oh, we've got 1 more coming through. They've walked out the unit for the supposed vape and then walked off.
And it's a growing issue. They've lost nearly £10,000 since the pandemic. The toll not only hitting their finances, but also the hard-working staff, who, when they confront customers, get abuse.
Got bills that are stapled on our office wall of people walking out. And it's disheartening for the staff, because what happens is the staff have done it. The staff have tried to stop them, in the restaurant, before this dine and dash, them doing the runner, occurred, they would argue in the restaurant and say they're not paying it, and it would be a specific clientele what do it. It's not the average person.
Hampshire Police said it received a report 2 men left a restaurant on the boardwalk without paying and has launched an investigation. It says inquiries are ongoing. Scott hopes things will improve, but fears unless more is done to support restaurants and tackle this sort of behaviour, diners will continue to take advantage. Harry Acton, ITV News, Port Solent.
Now, the ITV Evening News continues with the national and international stories at 6:30. With more, here's Charlotte Hawkins.
9 killed and dozens injured in a school shooting in Canada. The tight-knit community of Tumbler Ridge is reeling with mass shootings incredibly rare. The Prime Minister says another one of his key appointments didn't tell him the truth as he faces more questions and criticism over the Mandelson scandal and his judgment more widely. And the Robbie Williams fan who finally got her call answered 30 years later. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
And we'll have more on the Prime Minister in just a minute. But first, a reality TV star who grew up in Berkshire has taken her campaign for better maternity care to Parliament.
Yes, Made in Chelsea's Louise Thompson is calling on the government to appoint a maternity commissioner. Let's go to Westminster and talk to our political correspondent, Kit Bradshaw. Kit, Louise Thompson joined a rally there earlier.
Yes, Matt, and of course failings in maternity care is something we've covered on the programme many times, be it at the John Radcliffe in Oxford or University Hospital's Sussex Trust. But today, dozens of women came here to Westminster with a specific call, a call for a maternity commissioner to be appointed. The placards and banners they held pointed to the 140,000 people who've signed an online petition backing that call. And one of the leading campaigners, as you say, is the Made in Chelsea star Louise Thompson, who went to school in Newbury. Now, she suffered a traumatic birth several years ago and wants change.
Women deserve to be heard. We deserve equal treatment and maternity. And from someone that has experienced, sadly, I've spent a bunch of time in hospital. I've experienced different departments in hospital. I've had gastrosurgeries. The care is a lot better. This is a maternity issue. It's a women's issue. And we deserve fair treatment.
Well, in response to that petition, the Department of Health said they had no plans to appoint a maternity commissioner, but they did point to the fact that they've set up an independent maternity investigation led by Baroness Amos, which is due to report in the spring.
And Kit, it's definitely been a busy few days politically there for the Prime Minister.
Yes, it's fair to say at this time on Monday, it was looking like Sir Keir Starmer was on his way out of Downing Street, given the unhappiness in the parliamentary party. The Crawley MP Peter Lamb told me on Monday that he needed to set out a timetable for departure, but he clung on. And today he told Parliament he was fighting on.
He is mired in yet another scandal. Does he ever look in the mirror and ask himself, is the real problem staring him in the face?
Mr. Speaker, I delivered a landslide victory for our government. Only 4 people have ever led the Labour Party to victory in a general election. I'm one of them.
On Monday, many MPs loyal to Sir Keir weren't responding to my text. That's how you knew the Prime Minister was in trouble, or how I knew anyway. But today they were more than happy to row in behind their leader.
What we need is the Parliamentary Labour Party to unite behind the Prime Minister and focus on our constituents' concerns. We had too much chaos under the previous administrations. We need a government that's focused on people's priorities and their concerns and ensure that we can turn the economy around, public services around, and that's where our focus needs to be.
But Sir Keir is politically wounded. He's lost his Chief of Staff, his Communications Director, and it looks like maybe losing the most senior civil servant in the Cabinet Office. And as MPs prepare to head back to their constituencies tomorrow for the half-term break, it may be the verdict of voters on the doorstep that decides how much longer Sir Keir's backbenchers are willing to give him to turn things around.
Kit, I still can't believe they're not returning your texts. That's just rude. Thank you very much indeed. We will catch up again soon. Cheers, Kit.
And sport with Sarah Gom. And Sarah, a roller coaster of emotions last night.
Yes, it really was, Stacey. Thank you. Yes, I know it's a well-worn cliche to describe a match as a game of two halves, but in the case of Southampton's clash with Leicester City last night, it is entirely accurate. 3-0 down at the break. Saints stunned fans to win 4-3. Their goals coming up. First, though, victory for Bournemouth. Thanks again, in no small part, to the new kid in town.
Powering local sport in the community. Octopus Energy sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
Brazilian teenager Ryan continued his near-perfect start to life on the south coast, helping Bournemouth defeat 10-man Everton after going a goal down. He looks to be worth his £24.7 million price tag, scoring in a consecutive match to cancel out Everton's lead, before Amin Adli put Bournemouth ahead just moments later. Southampton boss Tonda Eckert said it was tough to find the right words to describe this match, eventually managing to acknowledge it as one of those nights that is very special. Saints were 3 down against a Leicester side whose supporters began to chant "We want 9" in a bid to replicate their record-breaking victory at St Mary's back in 2019. In a remarkable comeback, though, substitute Ross Stewart, captain Jack Stevens, Ryan Manning and Shea Charles sent their opponents into a stunned silence and sent themselves to within a point of the playoffs. A very different story for Oxford United, with boss Matt Bloomfield saying his players looked emotionally drained after this 3-0 defeat at home to Norwich City. In League One, though, Reading boss Liam Richardson celebrated a winning return to his former club Wigan with a 2-1 victory. Jerry L. Dorset headed home from close range, and Paddy O'Connor grabbed the winner just 3 minutes from time. Crawley Town's frustrating night at home to Cambridge United ended in defeat, leaving the Reds 5 points clear of the relegation places. An incredible night for Southampton there, and they play Leicester again on Saturday in the FA Cup. Right, looking ahead to tonight now, and Brighton boss Fabian Herzler says he and his team know there needs to be a reaction to the weekend's disappointing result against Crystal Palace when the Albion play Aston Villa. The teams meet at Villa Park tonight, with the Seagulls seeking what would be only their second win in 13 matches. So let's hope they can get a positive result tonight.
Absolutely. Sarah, thank you.
Thank you.
Now there's just time to tell you about tomorrow's programme, when we'll be talking to the singer Matt Goss. Do you remember him from the 80s pop band Bros? And he grew up in Camberley.
Well, he's heading to the South Coast for retro festival Let's Rock Southampton at St Mary's Stadium. He spoke exclusively to Natalie Bohr, and they took a trip down memory lane.
The Bros Mania was extraordinary at times. You know, you had thousands of people waiting for you at venues, people camped outside your mum's house. Did you embrace it all, or was it overwhelming and sometimes a bit scary?
I think all of the above. I think that I've never felt like a complaining celebrity, you know, like I've always felt very, very grateful, but I didn't join a band to, you know, search for mediocrity. You know, Bros was a juggernaut in the pop world, and it was all over the world, and it was really fun. It was terrifying at times, you know, because it was just like all was happening everywhere you went. Like you couldn't go anywhere without, you know, that's why they called it Bros Mania. It was absolutely manic everywhere.
At Bros's Southampton concert, 10 girls were taken to hospital overcome with hysteria. There were no casualties at Brighton.
no casualties. Crazy, wasn't it? They were so big in their time.
So that's coming up on the programme tomorrow on the programme. Now, Pippa's here to talk about the weather. I know something more positive in a minute, but first you've got some fairly nasty pictures to show us of the flooding.
Yeah, so we've got some footage from one of our camera operators, Steph. She was out and about in Fording Bridge today, and I think you can see here the River Avon. It's so high. It's burst its banks in many places, so it's sort of overwhelmed pathways, roads. This is the George pub, only keeping the river at bay thanks to some well-placed floodboards. And of course, the river levels continuing to rise at the moment. Groundwater levels are really high. We've got more rain to come. Always a bit of lag on the rivers, but at least the ducks are enjoying it, hey?
Yeah, not great, is it? But again, you did promise something slightly better towards the end of the week. Is that still stands?
Yeah, it's still on the cards. We will skip across any rain that might be coming our way tomorrow and Friday. Let's take a look at Saturday. This is the pressure chart for midday on Saturday. You can see that little bump in the pressure lines across the UK. That is all attached to a big old area of high pressure, this time down towards the southwest. It promises to bring us much drier conditions, hopefully some beautiful sunshine, but quite a crisp feel to things. For now, we've still got mild southwesterly winds. By Saturday, they'll be coming from the north, and that in turn will potentially bring some wintry hazards too.
A breezy morning will be followed up with a flurry of fresh delights for lunch. TUI sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Well, yes, we do still have some unsettled conditions on the whole over the coming days, but Saturday offering that welcome respite, something drier, brighter, but with it somewhat chillier too. For now, we've got some more rain currently working its way up from the English Channel. It will scoot away eastwards as the night wears on, though, then drier for a time, perhaps some mist and fog patches forming. And then you can see later in the night, cloud thickens once again with some further outbreaks of rain on the way. But temperatures still very mild for the time of year, and that will lead us into a mild but rather gloomy start for many once again tomorrow. So generally a lot of cloud on the scene as we head through Thursday. Further outbreaks of rain. There will be some brightness, mainly up towards the north initially and perhaps down towards the southwest later, but certainly make the most of it where you find it. Now, as we head overnight into Friday, things remain unsettled. Low pressure still very close by, so still lots of cloud, further showers or longer spells of rain. But we are holding out for Saturday. It should be a much drier day, hopefully some lovely sunshine, but there will be quite a chill in the air too. Bye-bye for now.
TUI sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
I'm going to start making plans now for Saturday. It's our only chance, isn't it?
All your plans.
All your plans.
Every plan.
In just a moment, the ITV Evening News. That's with Charlotte Hawkins.
That is it from us for this evening. Thank you very much for watching. We will see you very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Good night.